accidentally turned down this corner. We were looking for a friend of ours who was performing violin, and happened to run into three that I'd never ever known before. You know what I mean? That were down a strange alley, and they were all doing musical performances that particular evening. And so I would say probably a total of a dozen easily, and more than that, you know, that I'm probably not even aware of, even though I've been there for over 7 years. You know? And it's kind of part of the fun, you know, of just kind of constantly sort of finding more, you know, around every corner. This month, for the month of December, what we've got in store.
That's what I was going to get to. Is what your schedule is now. As we're going to be stimulating interest and curiosity from the viewers. So well, I think they'd want to know what's going on in the next 2, 3, 4 months.
Well, first of all, to keep track of what's happening there. You should definitely check out our website. www.chicagoartdepartment.
And maybe we could display it, you know, a couple of times just in case. So repeat it again.
ChicagoArtDepartment.org. And ChicagoArtDepartment.org has got both a handful of upcoming exhibitions. I think we're forecasting out several months in advance. But we've also, on the other side, have one of the most, just an amazing collection of the last at least the last 5 years worth of exhibitions, including an exhibition where we had 200 portraits of Lincoln for his 200th birthday, and that was like fantastic. Artists from Florida to Washington, from age 8 to 85, every possible medium. It was really wild. We did a show where everybody made art using their iPhones, which was really fantastic. That gained national press. The New York Times is calling us. Basically,
I have an iPhone.
A great story.
I don't know how to do anything.
Yeah, you can make art with
it. But the show in December, which is going to be fantastic, is a show about giving, which is seasonal. It sort of makes sense, where each artist has to produce a piece, but also produce a strategy for which to give it away to somebody in the audience. So this would be an opportunity to begin to expand your collection.
What period in December? From what date?
Well, all of our shows are focused around the second Friday. That's when we know we have an audience. So, and then we have other opportunities for people to come in and see it. But the second Friday is the key, you know. So that's when we invite everybody. And then if somebody wants to check it out after that, this particular one, there might not be any art on the wall the next day, you know, because everything might be given away the night of the show. So it's
I want to be there.
Yeah. It's a fantastic, because the fun thing is that, you know, we start by announcing it to members of our group, people that have been taking part in a lot of shows, and then we generally then announce it one step broader to other people that we know that might be interested. And in some cases, we'll make it a national, you know, open call. And it kind of depends on the time frame that we have to work with. This one, we've got a slightly shorter amount of time to sort of put the show together, but it's fun because, like, again, for me, it's about collaboration. It's about trying to figure out ways to invite people to play, invite people to take part, and invite people to be a part of the situation, you know, be a part of the scene, be a part of this thing, so that people coming through the show, they might say, oh, this is interesting, this is exciting. Oh, and I can participate? Well, that's a totally different thing, you know. And so that's, sometimes there's artworks that a person can write on, or that might be a thing where they can step into the video that we're working on, or in this case, you can, if depending on the piece, you might be qualified to be able to just take it off the wall and walk away with it, you know. And so it's just an interesting way. The audience participation, collaboration. That's just really fun.
That sounds like a very exciting event in December. What do you plan? Do you plan on like a quarterly basis or a yearly basis? How do you do, and what other events do you have in mind that maybe the viewers would be very interested in?
We just recently had. So basically, what we have. The Chicago Art Department is made up of resident artists, and we have a collection of people who are sort of regularly involved in what we do. And we recently had a gallery meeting, and basically we give the opportunity for each artist to kind of
give input.
Take to do a show.
Take
a month, or take one of those second Fridays, and they can do whatever they want. Sometimes it'll be, an artist's first solo show, another couple of people are going to be organizing sort of an international screen printing show. And so it's basically, and that's, I think, one of the interesting things with our organization is it's really sort of giving the opportunity for someone to do something and letting them run with it. And then, and almost that, in and of itself is sort of a learning experience for people. Putting together a show, and then
I think in January, Hilish Patel is taking on that particular month. Exactly what it's going to be, not entirely sure. But this guy has never taken over the space for a month, so that one of the funnest things is to create this thing, and then sometimes just walk in and have no idea what to expect. Walking into your own gallery and not even really knowing what's going to happen when you walk in there. We just, at this point, we know who the curators are going to be for each month. So I know that Hillish is set up for January, and February and March and April are still sort of a little bit nebulous. And as they continue to snap into focus, then
let me ask a naive question. You know, what you're doing sounds like a lot of fun. I probably, you know, I would consider that in another life. But how does it work for you? How do you support yourself? I'm not going to say how do you make money, but how do you keep it going without you having to go in the red?
the easiest answer is by having a large number of people pay a small amount per month. So in other words, what we chose to do, rather than having it be something where we required donations every single month, or where we needed to constantly be fishing for grants all the time. We are a nonprofit organization. Right. So the organization itself doesn't need to make, and that's not the point, it's for the organization to make money. And what we've essentially asked of our members is, we've got a studio space that's actually over on Hubbard Street near Ashland, and then our gallery, which is here in Pilsen. And so basically, to gain access to, you get keys for both of those for about $200 a month. You gain keys to 2 different spaces, one where you can manufacture, another place where you can exhibit. And to get studio space for that amount is ridiculous. To have access to a gallery for that amount is ridiculous. Now, once then, when we had just the gallery, it was one price, and when we get into the studio, we basically either had to increase our price, where now people had to pay more than that, or just get more members involved. And so we chose the latter. We decided, let's keep the price low so that it's not that big of a deal. It's like a membership to a gym. It's like a membership to, something like that. But this is a creative gym. This is a place where you're going to sort of, exercise your creative bone. So realistically, we've got about 20 members that are paying that small nominal fee to keep this organization.
So basically, your role is almost like an organizer.
Yeah.
But as you put the information about where you help, why can't that manufacturing be in Pilsen?
It should be in Pilsen.
All right, I got to work with you on that.
The only reason that it wasn't is literally we were looking for a large space. And
so the idea that I have about live, work, and
we basically,
to be honest, like our dream scenario is having a whole building almost, where you could provide the gallery, have maybe a performance space, have studio space, and kind of have it all sort of contained and in sort of one experience almost. So like any person, like we were talking about earlier, it's like you could literally as a viewer come in and you can see the full art experience, because I think as in terms of art, I think that's something that's often missing is sort of gaining that full context of where art comes from. And
did you explore? Did you look into different buildings in the area to see if you could have that?
We started dealing primarily with the Podmajerskis, as we were already renting with them, and we looked at a couple of spaces trying to find the perfect scenario. And to be honest, we ended up with the building where it is right now, just as part of a wider search. I mean, we didn't limit ourselves at that point to Pilsen, but at the same time, ultimately, to be able to pull everything together would be very advantageous, But at the same time, there's 2 parts in our mind. One is to set up a variety of precincts, like a police department, in many neighborhoods.
Right.
Well, and the other is the idea of trying to create, like the monster mega
well, that's what
situation.
I want. The monster mega
and again, the idea of driving down a street in Pilsen and seeing Chicago Art Department, like it would be a police department or a fire department.
I get it.
The exterior of the building, and having that experience, and of course there has to be the art department, and of course it has to be in Pilsen. You know what I mean? And realistically, it's fun to think of ourselves as a civic organization. We started it as like I say, 3 people, got it out to 9, got it out to 20, and realistically, we're only limited by space. That's really realistically the only.
Now, is your goal to own at some point, or you're just looking to rent right now?
At this point, we've just been renting, because we're limited again by the amount of space that we have and the people that we can afford to work with.
Yeah,
but on the other hand,
real estate properties going down, there might be an opportunity in the future.
I mean, we're definitely open to it. I think it's just a matter. I don't totally understand. I think just personally, I don't totally understand what the owner, like, what ownership entails and everything. It seems
Especially as a
it seems like
nonprofit
it seems like an awfully big
are
responsibility to
there
take. But
like-
if it were available,
Are there art galleries in the big world where they're very successful and they're very well off and they're very
it's
famous?
And that's I think that's sort of like the the big question. I mean, because I think one thing I think people appreciate about the experience of people when people come into our gallery is that it's not a commercial gallery. Like, the point of our gallery isn't to sell the art, even though like there are artworks for sale. That's not the point of the gallery. So trying to find a different model of how to sort of pay your bills and be able to survive, but at the same time sort of keep the art experience as sort of art.
It's pure. Yeah, but at some point, to ensure the continuity and to ensure maybe the purity of what you're producing, is it a goal of yours at some point to have more stability by maybe having something that's ownership or?
I'll tell you, the big thing that if you think about it like this, right now the Chicago Art Department as an organization is 7 years old, and as when we started, we basically did our 1-year plan, our 3-year plan, our 10-year plan, our 20-year plan, and basically we were putting it at our 10-year plan to have a building. We didn't actually talk so much about owning versus renting, but to have a building, right? Now, of course, ultimately, I think we had it as our 20-year plan to build a building. You know what I mean? To build the perfect structure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And again, this is all based on you have to dream, especially as an artist. You have to have creative energy and throw it out there. And of course, almost every time that we've needed to grow, the opportunities have come in, whether it's getting the perfect number of people to join up, whether it's getting the perfect space to just happen to materialize. I mean, we started in a loft in the South Loop, and it was where we lived, it was where we worked, and it was where this thing started our gallery, right? And again, we outgrew that because we weren't the only ones living there. You know what I mean? Right. And so eventually our roommates were like, is this art gallery school thing going to take over, or what?
Move out.
And so it was time to graduate from that space into our gallery. And we were working and we were showing our work in the same space. It got to a point where the dust from the manufacturing was, from cutting wood or from painting was getting onto the art. Now we had to grow again, right? In order to grow, we had to grow the number of people. We had to grow. So each time we went from 3 people to 9 people to 20 people. And in order to be able to fill a building, even just physically, we would probably have to go up to the next step. Now with that next step, that's another financial mark, and that gives us another level of fluidity to consider buying or consider renting. But usually the situation that we've been trying to look for, which we had with the Hubbard Street thing, which is why we ended up going with that, was the flexibility to grow. They offered us just a little bit more flexibility, whether it was a couple of months not paying rent or whatever, to be able to grow. And because the whole thing is that you can't get members for a space that doesn't exist, and you can't get the space until you have the, you know what I mean? It's a chicken and an egg thing.
Right.
So the space to grow is the big thing, and the flexibility. So ultimately, being able to find somebody that we could work with that has that flexibility, or that offers that flexibility, so that we can enter the space and grow over the course of a year or whatever it takes to jump up to the next mark.
Well, you know what, Nate and Nathan, I'm very glad that you came to the show today. I'm going to look forward to working with you, and maybe you can help me get together with the other gallery owners. But we really do have to start thinking about this basic idea of creating an art community. First of all, it's kind of empty, that area, between Canal and Halsted, and it's just waiting for somebody to come in and take ownership and build. Is there any other aspect of what we've been talking about that you think I haven't factored in that could be brought in? I mean, the pods are definitely going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, the main thing really is, I think for us, is space and opportunity, and then I think
and
also
an opportunity for dialogue.
And then also a certain level of freedom as well, to be able to kind of experiment and try stuff and do stuff. And I think, if artists feel they have that sort of liberty, then I think it
Well,
works.
we're going to continue this discussion when we finish this program, and maybe the next program we're talking about what we've done
Yeah.
to reach
Yeah,
that goal.
that
But
sounds
thank you
fantastic.
very much, Nate and Nathan, and I look forward to working with you closely.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Thanks for
pleasure
having
to
us.
meet you.
Thank you.